Well, hello, friends. It's Amy from the Art of Imperfect Adulting. This is my weekly recap. So, there wasn't a weekly recap last week. I don't even remember if there was one before. So, I've definitely missed one, maybe two. I don't think that anybody probably noticed, to be sure. So, I was on vacation. That's the true story. And I do the show production far enough in advance that the show doesn't stop when I take a break. But the weekly recap is sort of done when the episodes drop, and I didn't figure out how to do that on vacation. That's the honest truth. All right, so this is also the end of July. So I've got three episodes that released this week I'm going to tell you about in the recap. It's also the last week of July, which is fun. I released the most episodes ever that I have done in July. I think there were 22 or 23 episodes released. A lot, so many. Almost five a week, most weeks. There was definitely a gap in one where I didn't have the calendar figured out correctly. What's wild about that is that because I have a maybe a slightly unique way of how I am calculating how many episodes will go out. It's driven completely by how many people submit. And I keep like a production schedule that gives me space. I don't know if it makes any sense to anybody but me, but it does. But so most amount of episodes released, super, super fun. It coincides though with like the summer dip of listenership, right? So number of downloads and listens tends to dip over the summer. It's like one of the oldest media cycles that I know about. I think it's one of the reasons that old school TV shows used to go on hiatus during the summer. That's when the reruns would be. I don't know if that's still true. I really appreciate it when fresh stuff drops now over the summer. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff that comes out streaming in the summer. So maybe it's not true anymore. Another fun thing that happened in July is that my reach on the various social channels has expanded to the point where I am now getting tons of stuff from the various promo spam bots. Okay, so this is a little annoying, but it's also a kind of a benchmark of like it signifies that there are more people and things, robots and stuff like that, seeing the channel. So I get messages on Instagram and social media for that. Send me this post, and this is so great. And I'm pretty sure they're not real people. There's also plenty of actual conversation happening in these places, so that's fun. And then on YouTube, like every day, like every hour of every day, there's somebody that's like, "Hey, great channel, but you should hire me to help you grow and expand more reach and blah, 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 blah." I don't know if those people are really there. So anyway, slightly annoying, but also um, potentially an indication of benchmark and reach. All right. So anyway, what did I do this week? What is out this week? So Tuesday, Megan Tobler, we talk about a time when she changed her job. And one of the things that I love about this story is that the root of this story is that she was downsized and fired and had to find a new thing. And it coincided with the time when she was pregnant, right? So that's an interesting story because that's a thing that's not actually supposed to happen to people, but it does happen. I love it when this actually just happened to me this morning. Like somebody said, "Hey, what happens when you do this?" And I told them what I was experiencing. And they were like, "No, no, that's not possible." And this is like another one of those things. One of my favorite things that happens in life because it's just so crazy. It's like, this is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be fired when you are pregnant. And you're not supposed to be limited in your career options when you choose to have a family. And yet, the stories and the real experiences that people have are there. So Megan shares her story of how she handled it and what happened. She's a great storyteller, and you'll really enjoy it. Shayna Bergman, she and I talk about a time when she had a total breakdown, freak out in her professional work environment. And like, so that is that. So she snapped. She describes it as snapping. And I go through and we talk about what it means. And it did happen in a meeting in a public setting. She's very vulnerable and shares that experience. And I really appreciate that. What is super interesting is that I posted a clip on this to YouTube, and many people had feelings. A couple of people, let's say, not many, let's be realistic. A couple of people had feelings about Shayna's story. And it was very, very interesting to see that by sharing her story, she became a little bit of a target where people are judging her decision and playing armchair quarterback for what happened in her own life. And I think that that's a sign. I want to thank her for being brave for that, because that's one of the reasons that people don't come forward and share their stories. Because today in social media, where everything is all over the place, you are putting yourself out there to be a target for these things. And one of the fiercest criticisms of people when they make decisions are other people who look like them, so it's interesting. We think that, in social situations with people, women should defend all other women and we should group together in these groups and support all the other people. But the lived experience that many of us have is that when we come forward and we say, oh gosh, this is what happened to me, sometimes there are people who are like, well, that's your own fault, you did it wrong, and you're like, that doesn't feel very supportive. So thank you, Shayna, for sharing your story, and how you worked through it and what it meant to you. I thought it was a great interview. All right. And then Karen Dwyer Tesoriero. Okay, tough name to say. She's I mean, I love it. It's a really pretty name, but it's got a lot of vowel combinations in there that trip up my tongue. This story is about financial infidelity, and it's got a little bombshell in it, and she does a great job of telling the story. But generally speaking, from one day to the other, Karen thought that all of her ducks were in a row and things were fine. And then she got a phone call that let her know that there were huge problems in her household finances. And it's one of these things that's almost hard to believe that would happen to somebody else. But I have had enough of these conversations to know that I just believe people when they tell us this. And so Karen lived through this. She gives detailed examples of how she moved through it, how she handled the situation, and the changes that happened in her life, which I think are helpful for people to hear, because we are very lucky in 2025. We are not limited in every human being can have their own bank accounts and things, and that's great. But it is definitely something that hearing how somebody works themselves out of a tough financial situation in practical experience and what it looked like for them and what it felt like can be really reassuring for others that are in the same spot, because it's easier to get into financial trouble today than probably ever before. Like, I think about this every once in a while. Like, when I think back to when I was a kid, it was a lot harder to run up a lot of debt. That was the 70s and 80s. There weren't as many credit cards. Like, credit wasn't as easy to get, and now it is. And so it is a thing that people can do. They can continue to do. It's one of the things I worry about with my adult kids. I got to tell you, I can't live their life for them, so they're going to do it themselves. But I do hope that they don't and dig themselves into a hole like that. A little bit more about me personally than you probably cared to know. Anyway, those are the 3 episodes that come out this week. In August, the release schedule is 3 a week. It's not quite as much content as there was before, and I don't know how many. Actually, I do. How many will be out in September? How many will be out in September? I actually do know this. I can tell you. 21. So it's back up a little bit. How many come out per week? I'd have to look at a calendar. Save that for next week. Thank you guys for watching. Enjoy all the episodes. Subscribe to the audio channels if that's the way you work. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to get those updates. Subscribe to the email newsletter, and then I give you links for the special offers for all the guests direct to your email box. Those things are all possibilities. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great day. Amy out.